Hey everyone, I'm a dumbass and forgot to turn up my mic for the start of this video. So we start in progress with Benji and I talking about how we think IG will perform.
Uh, well, I do have some thoughts on sort of like how China sort of ended up in the DPC. So I think myself and a lot of other people were thinking that, all right, we know how this is going to shape out. Elephant, at the top. Then you've got sort of LGD and eHome, all these teams with star players, and then you have sort of below that Aster, Vici, um, and then all the other teams. But Aster and Vici have been super impressive during the DPC, and yeah, they've just really impressed me with how they've been able to sort of beat these teams with obviously top tier players in Elephant and LGD.
Yeah, when I actually went back and watched because I didn't watch any China, and then after I talked to Carmel for the video, I
Oh
went
yeah,
back and watched because I was like, uh, it sounded like super interesting. And IG, like he's right, they've got some heat on them right now. So,
mm,
but it also makes them kind of hard to place because we've only seen that heat when they're in the region. Um,
yeah. I guess you can say that for all of these teams.
that's true. That's
That's kind
true.
of a bit of a thing
But
throughout
but
the.
but but I don't. I guess what I mean is I don't think they're like some of these other players at least are a little more tried and tested on like an international stage. Whereas
Yeah, for sure.
this lineup of IG specifically has not really seen that same success or results.
Yeah, and I think that uh, on IG, if I could just talk about the players a little bit, I think
Mm.
Emo is definitely going to be the sort of bit of a litmus test for the whole team because he's quite a sort of up and down mid laner. Like he's obviously very young, very talented, but there are games where he plays really well and takes over the game, and there are games where he doesn't do that. So I think he's going to be a big factor. Obviously, all the cores are big factors to their success, but I think him in particular is going to be sort of the one to watch. Obviously, you've also got Kaka in there. They've got TI7 finalist, so a
Mm.
bit of experience there. Um, so thinking about where to place this team, what are your initial thoughts for
So I,
IG?
I think I'm putting them close to no one would be surprised.
Yeah,
Despite the fact that they did finish top of their region. Uh,
Mhm.
it's that lack of international experience and kind of inconsistency among the team at other events. Like I'm not saying they
yeah,
couldn't do
they've
it,
still
but
got a
yeah,
bit to prove, right?
yes. So do you agree with that?
Yeah, yeah, I think so because I wouldn't really consider them dark horses because obviously if you win, if you're the best team in China, it's quite.
Yeah.
I don't think anyone can consider you a dark horse. So I think top five is a good place to place them.
Okay. Moving on to Alliance, which I think is another kind of surprise to see, not in the wild card at least. Um,
Yeah, well, yeah, it is. It is sort of a bit of a surprise to see them there, but that's not taking away from the fact they played really well throughout the entire DPC.
yes.
Like, uh, I for one really like this team. Obviously Limp is I think top one rank in EU. Uh, in contention for best mid laner in the world.
Mm.
Nico Baby also, another young guy who's really talented. S4 obviously got a bit of veteran presence. Former TI winner. Hanskin's very good in the support, and then obviously FNG. I really like this alliance team. Obviously you're not going to get top one in the DPC over Secret. That's just not realistic.
Yeah. Yeah.
But I think to get second is a really good effort from them. Who did they lose games? So they lost to Secret. They got 2-1 by Secret and 2-1 by Nigma. But all the other series were wins. What are your thoughts about this Lions team?
So I agree. I think this is actually one of the best lineups we've seen from an alliance team since like TI3. I think
Yeah,
this is really strong, and I think picking up FNG is like one of the smartest decisions they made because I think that dude's been uh, slept on in the scene for a while. So they're also a hard team to place. I think they're another contender for top five.
yeah, I would agree.
I I don't know about so I don't want to get too memey, but S4 on LAN uh, in recent
Yeah,
memory hasn't been very good to watch. So we'll see what happens.
that's true. But I think I would still place him in that top five.
Okay, okay, I agree with that.
Yeah.
Okay, Fnatic is a really interesting team.
Mm.
Um,
Yeah. I
some
really like this
yeah,
Fnatic side.
yeah. Give your initial thoughts.
Yeah. So when you look at sort of SEA, right, it's kind of like punk rock Dota, if you know what I mean.
Mm-hmm.
It's very fast. It's very sort of in your face. But Fnatic is sort of the not so much the antithesis is so much of it is sort of taking that essence and putting a bit more structure into it, putting a bit more sort of organization behind it. And I really like what they've been doing in the DPC. I think what my favorite thing that they've been doing is Raven's Core IO. I haven't seen a Core IO do. I haven't seen a Core IO that really impressed me since sort of Anna at TI9, obviously.
Mm.
Um, since then, everything seems like sort of a not so good imitation of that. But Raven has found a way to sort of make it work, and when he's picked it, I think they were undefeated on it. At least last I checked, maybe their last game they might have lost on it, but I doubt it. So that's one of those pocket picks that I think is going to be really interesting to see if they pull it out, and then also if it works.
Yeah, I pretty much agree with that. The big thing with Fnatic for me is they have DJ on 5, correct?
Yeah, that is
Um,
that is one sort of wrinkle that I'm not too like. I think DJ is a better four,
I
and I
think
think
he's the
that's
best four to me at least. I think he's like contention for like best four in the world.
mhm,
Um, Definitely the best four in SEA, but I think that speaks volumes to kind of what you were talking about kind of the consistency and experience that the team has, that they would be willing to put him in that role and be confident with that choice.
yeah. And I think there's a couple of things to sort of talk about that. First thing is DJ is obviously the captain of Fnatic. He offers a bit of a veteran presence. He's been there for about I think 4 years on that team now,
Yeah.
and I think it's a lot easier to be the captain when you're in the five. When you're in four, you're focused on making plays, you know, uh, ganking and rotating and roaming, and it's a lot easier from the five role to just it's not so much of a pressure position. You can just sit back, sort of cool smokes and stuff like this. And it also um, speaks sort of volumes about how DJ's in the five position to how good Jabs is, and he's really impressed me
Yeah.
during this DPC. I think he's um, definitely one of the best sort of. I mean, not really up and coming. He's been around the scene for quite a few years now, but definitely one of the best fours in SEA, no doubt.
Yeah, I totally agree. And DJ being on captain honestly just makes me feel so old, because I remember when that guy was like super young, and I mean he was still like a hyper talent, but uh, again, I don't want to just put everybody in this like top 5 spot, but that's kind of where I have them right now.
Okay, well, I would place them more towards dark horses.
Okay,
I don't think they're. Uh, no one would be surprised. Hmm, I think dark horses is a better place for Fnatic because
yeah,
obviously you said we can't just put everyone in top five.
yeah. Okay, I agree with that. I agree with that. Okay, so we'll put him in dark horse there. First dark horse, and then we go to Neon. I didn't mean to put the two. Well, I guess there's three. I didn't mean to put the SEA teams in a row like this, but so Neon, they're playing with a stand-in. Um,
Yes.
and if I could give my thoughts here quickly, so personally, I think this team beating out T1 in SEA was a bit surprising. Um, I think T1 could have won that qualifier. I mean, won that tiebreaker really easily. It was a bit of an upset to me. I don't know how you feel about it.
Well, to me it wasn't that surprising because
Okay.
sort of I think at the start of the DPC a lot of people thought, oh well, it'd be TNC and Fnatic sort of duking out for the top spot, right? But Neon sort of came out of nowhere to be sort of the best team in the DPC in the first few weeks. That match against Fnatic was really hyped up
Hmm.
uh, because Neon was doing so well in beating all the weaker teams. They did obviously lose to Fnatic, but what I said about Fnatic being sort of a bit more structured version of the SEA style, um, just completely flip that for Neon. Neon are full in
Hmm.
your face, run at you, just this chaotic style of SEA Dota that we've come to expect from the region.
Yeah.
And that's why I think that they are sort of they also belong in the dark horse tier, but I think they're a lot more sort of I think they embody the role of a dark horse a lot more than Fnatic
Yeah.
because I think they can with their sort of style it plays well with being on LAN and just surprising teams who maybe haven't done their not even haven't done their research but just aren't expecting that type of style to come out and just get run over and upset.
Okay. Yeah. I definitely see that. I may have
Yeah.
been I may have been a bit harsh. I mean, they were one of my favorite teams to watch in SEA.
Yeah.
Uh,
And it's not a lot of players that are internationally recognized. Probably not too much LAN experience.
mhm.
Um, but I'm excited to what they do, and they are playing as a standard. So maybe that slightly muddies the water for what they're
Yeah. Well,
capable of. But
well, when we're done, we'll go through and rank each tier as well to make it a little more clear.
okay, sure.
So Aster, uh, obviously, there's a bit of a problem here, seeing as how they do have their stand-in, right? It is Mad, right?
Yes, which is their coach. If I'm
Yeah. Uh, but as you said earlier, Baboka is just like an insane four position.
Yeah, I really love Baboka. Ever since sort of like DAC 2016 when he was playing Monkey King and Ricky. He
Yeah.
even brought out the four Monkey King in this tournament. That was a treat to watch. But in my opinion, he's really been the X factor of this team. And for him to not be there, I think, even though he's just a four position, I think that's a big blow to them.
Hmm.
Obviously, they do have a lot of talent on this team. Monet's been around for ages. White Album's a really exciting mid play. He's got some of these weird pocket picks that he likes to bring out sometimes. Um, but yeah, I think I don't feel as excited about Asta as I did before. Now that they don't have Baboka.
So do you think that before that, okay, let's say before Baboka leaving, well, where would you place them?
Oh, is I would have had a so before Baboka leaving, I would have had a hard time placing them between No One Would Be Surprised and Dark Horse tier probably.
Hmm.
But now I think they're even between. Ooh, I think I'd still put them in the Dark Horse tier,
Okay,
but
I would
I
either
know
put
that
them
I'm
in
thinking about them having a slim chance.
yeah, they're either bottom of Dark Horse or top of Slim Chance, I think.
Yeah, I think
Um,
maybe actually, I think actually maybe put them in slim chance.
okay, yeah, it
I
is
just
really
think
sad
there's so
because I
many
do
good
think this
teams at
team,
this
yeah,
major.
I do think this team could have really, really taken the tournament by storm. So it
Yeah,
is a shame.
I
Okay,
mean they still could. We never know, but that's just how it's looking at the moment.
so Virtus Pro, the Giants, I think, coming into this tournament, or one of them. What are your
Yes,
thoughts?
I am. So I covered CIS DPC
Mm,
for Slack's DPC Tonight Show, and VP impressed me so much. Um, just the way that they sort of it's like they controlled games. Like you never for 1 second felt that it was out of their grasp.
mm,
Like there was just this timing that they'd hit at about just after the laning stage, so like 12, 15 minutes, where they just take over the game. They would be making the right moves, they'd be taking towers, they'd be denying enemies objectives, they'd be playing around, their cooldowns and opponents' cooldowns perfectly. They have just such a good chemistry between them and an understanding of how to play the game properly. I think they only lost one map in the whole TPC,
mm.
and that one was a weird game. It was like the other team had Morphling and Puck, and they went for double E Blade. That was a very fun game to watch, and that was the only map they lost in the entire DPC. No other team has been anywhere close to that consistent and dominant. So, you know, I want to wait for your thoughts, but I'm I would be shocked if you said anything other than
Yeah,
easy top three for
yeah,
FPP.
and kind of to echo what you said as well. CIS was not like a slouching region as it has been,
For sure.
I think, in the past. I think CIS teams really showed up to the DPC, and I mean we'll get to that later when we talk about Gambit. But so yeah, I think Virtus Pro is just like you said, an easy top three. They look consistent,
Yeah.
and I mean personally, just kind of as a fanboy, I'm glad the org was able to pick up such a dominant team because I like the org as well. They've kind of been they've been a staple of the scene for such a long time.
Kind of like the eternal bridesmaids on the scene, but
Yeah.
now I think they've got as good a chance of any of picking up a major.
Mm-hmm. Okay, so that's our first top three, and I think we might be getting to our second one very shortly.
Yep.
Because Secret is up next, and you see I have the old Secret logo because I,
Ah,
I
yes,
I
I see.
miss it. It's
It's a nice logo, that.
yeah, it's silly, it's fun. We need more. We need more of these.
Yeah. So, I
Yeah,
mean,
yeah. You go
sort of
ahead.
what else can you say? What else can you say about Secret? They had, you know, possibly the most dominant run in potentially the history of Dota 2. I think it was like multiple months where they didn't even lose a game. Um, they're just stacked at every single position. Matamba Man obviously been one of the best players in the world, former TI winner. Nisha, one of the most talented mids in the world. Zai, Yapsor. I mean, it's just like an embarrassment of riches on the side of Secret. And it seemed like the only reason that their winning streak stopped is because they got bored. Like
Mm-hmm.
none of these guys are playing pubs. Um, we had that patch that lasted like 8 months. I think
Yeah,
anyone could get bored after that.
yeah.
And then they showed it in DPC, going 7-0. They did lose a couple of maps, but you know, only OG looked like they could potentially beat them, and they still dispatched them. So,
Mm-hmm.
I think another easy top three right here.
Yeah, I completely agree, and yeah, like what you said, that the team is this is one of the most stacked teams of all time. And in my opinion, I don't think Zai gets enough credit for being maybe the world's most consistent player of all time. He had like one brief
Yeah,
stint where he wasn't on top, um, and that was uh, that Arteezy lineup. Um,
Oh yeah,
but he, and even on his role as well, like it's not just the teams he's on, it's him on his role as well. Like he is a player who will never you'll never come out of a game and be like, oh, that guy did not have a good game. Like even if they lose, he
yeah.
looks like he had a good game.
Which is so rare in Dota, isn't it?
Yeah, yeah. So I think, yeah, I mean, simple as that, easy top three. And then we get to PSG LGD. Do you wanna take this one?
Yeah, sure. So obviously this is not the LGD that the TI8 runners up TI9 third position LGD, although they do have a couple of players left over from there. But this was one of the teams that a lot of people had earmarked to be, potentially going into first and second in DPC. That didn't quite work out. They had a really, really poor start to DPC, but it really seems like they've found their feet a lot more towards the end of it.
Mm.
Whereas other teams like sort of Elephant didn't, that never really happened. Yeah, obviously Arme has been one of the best players in the world for quite some time now. And Nothing to Say is also a really exciting mid laner. He's a Malaysian player who came over to China. Um, and one of the things that I sort of heard from Kips, who was an analyst who, you know, coached a lot of players coming from Malaysia and SEA over to China, is that you have that SEA sort of run at you, explosive style, and then it's sort of refined into, the China mold, very calculated, very
Yeah.
structured. And I think we're starting to see a lot of that from Nothing to Say, who's had some excellent performances throughout this DPC.
Yeah, I completely agree. LGD is probably the team I'm most excited for as a potential winner of this tournament. Um, because as you said, at the end of that China DPC, they really started to look very, very strong. Um, and this is a team that is fairly consistent on LAN. I mean, obviously, they've had a lot of roster changes, but
Yeah.
Ame as a player is at least very, very consistent on LAN. Um, he doesn't really seem to get rattled too much. Uh, so I would put this team right now in. No one would be surprised.
Ooh, I think that's a little bit. I think it's a
This
little bit high.
generous.
They're for sure running a lot of momentum, but they haven't really shown that much. I think I would put them in dark horse, which
Okay.
is weird because we're putting them. Uh, actually,
It is so weird
because
because
what?
it's so weird to put LGD like this giant team in.
Yeah,
Not at least not having them an easy top three feels very very strange, but accurate. So maybe the
yeah,
top of
and
dark horses.
oh, it's even tough to put them in that because what you got to remember is that they're coming out of the wild card, and that
Yeah.
you have six really really stacked teams in the wild card and two make it out.
Well, I think
And
it's they expanded a slot because of
oh, did they?
I think
Oh, so
so.
it's three making out now.
I think. Don't quote me on
Oh,
that.
right, okay. All right.
Yeah.
Maybe
So
I think I'm happy putting them in dark horse.
okay. I can agree with that. I will be agreeable here. This isn't one I'll argue too much. There might be some coming up that I might argue for. Maybe
I
this
can see
next
them.
one.
I can see them at the end.
Yeah. Well, actually, this next one, Nigma.
Oh, this is
I love all the. Okay, I'm just gonna preface. I love all of these players. GH is one of the most kind souls in the Dota world. Um,
yeah.
I think this might be the most overhyped team going into this tournament.
Wow.
I don't think they're bad by any stretch of the imagination, but I think I've seen a lot of discourse saying that what happened in the EU DPC was kind of a fluke, and this team definitely should have been like in the group stage, should not have been in the wild card. And I just don't think they look consistent. Um, and I think the wild card format as it is does not benefit them. Uh, but I mean, they're not bad. Again, I'm not saying that they're
Yeah.
bad. I just think they're a little overhyped going into this. What are your
Yeah.
thoughts?
Well, I think your sort of overhyped sentiment sort of makes a lot more sense when you sort of factor in that they don't have MC.
Mm-hmm.
They're gonna have to. I mean, they don't have MC, and then they also don't have a three. I mean, they have RMN coming in. Obviously, RMN, great player. He stood in for
Yeah,
them in the past, but he's a five player. So, and they haven't clarified if it's going to be RMN playing the three, or whether he doesn't play, or Kuro playing the three.
yeah,
If Kuro plays the three, I think it's going to be really difficult because obviously we talked about the captain, and captaining from a core role is not
mm,
not easy. I mean, of course, if there's anyone that could do it, it's Kuroki, but it's also not a position that's native to him.
yeah.
I don't like their chances of getting out of the wild card. I'll be
I
honest.
I don't. I almost want to put them in slim chance.
I think I would also put them in slim chance.
Okay. Yeah. Although, like you said with Kuro, if he plays the three, I could see it happening. And to Kuro's credit, he has been a player who has taken on many different roles throughout his career and looked decent.
Yeah,
But he has
and
not
if
played.
he does play this,
Yeah, he has not played a different one in quite a while.
yeah, there's also something to watch out. I'm a bit of a stats person, so if Kuro plays Mars at the tournament, if he plays three, I think that's what we're assuming, then he will have played every single hero in the game that is in captain's
Ooh,
mode. Obviously, he hasn't played Hoodwink because it's not in captain's mode, but that's something to look out for.
that could be hype. So
Yeah,
I'm still gonna put them in slim chance. I would actually put
yeah,
them
same.
over. I'm. It's hard to say. Well, we'll get to that later. We'll do that after.
Yeah, we'll cross that bridge when we come to it.
Okay. So Gambit, the CIS bridesmaids. Uh,
Yeah, so
yeah, yeah. What do you
recently
think?
picked
You
up by
covered. Yeah.
okay, so recently picked up by AS Monaco.
Mm-hmm.
I've heard a lot of people call them ASM Monaco and AS Gambit. it's kind of a hard name to say. I'll be honest.
Yeah, I
But
wasn't even
these
able to find a logo for it, as you could see. It's
oh
still just the
yeah,
classic
it's one
Gambit
of
logo.
those weird ones where it's like two logos that are next to each other,
Yeah.
which I think is just really lazy. Like, come on, there must be some sort of cool way you can combine the logos. But this team is, I'll be honest, they didn't really impress me during the DPC. I think that obviously picking up no one in the mid lane is a huge benefit. I mean, when you can pick up world class talent, it's always going to be, you know, a good thing. Um, but I think I don't like their chances of getting out of the wild card. They didn't really impress me
Hmm.
during the group stage. They didn't beat, they got 2-0'd by Navi. They got 2-0'd by VP. Um, and I think, yeah, I don't really like the fact that they're not very consistent. They never seemed like they were, a lot of the games that they were playing weren't, they weren't stomping the lower teams, which obviously the mark of a great team is that you consistently beat the teams below you and efficiently and effectively. And I didn't see that from AS Monaco Gambit.
Yeah,
So yeah,
if I had done my odds properly in my wildcard video, I actually would have given Gambit probably the lowest odds of making it out.
yeah.
Um, but I don't think they're. I don't think they're slouches. I think this team is fine. I just don't think it's on the level of everyone else here. So I think they are.
It feels
Uh,
harsh to push. It feels really harsh to put them in the bottom tier, but I think that's where they belong.
yeah, I agree.
Yeah, I don't see any scenario where they win the tournament.
Okay.
Like, yeah.
We might get there might be some discussion on this one. Team Liquid. I'm gonna let you go on this one because I'm very curious what someone else thinks of this team.
Okay, well, I'll tell you first off that I'm very high on this team.
Okay.
I really like this team. I really love Insania as a five. I think
Mm-hmm.
he's one of the best, both technical and drafting fives in the world currently.
Mm-hmm.
Um, I think the way that they flex positions is also really interesting and really unique and also very good.
Yeah.
Like sort of, you got Koikra, he's got all these like cheese picks like Lone Druid. You can play the Brood, Huskar. We obviously saw in the round robin qualifier, the last chance qualifiers. Um, and then they can also sort of flex Mickey to the mid lane. You see what they've been doing with Boxy and Tiger, swapping those two around.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe Tiger plays Enigma 3 and then Boxy moves to the 4. And I think there's just a lot of, they seem like a really veteran team at the moment, which they are. They've been together for a long time.
Mm-hmm.
Um, I think it's really surprising to see them in the wild card, and especially being in that sort of that they don't feel like a team that had to play a three-way tiebreaker to get just even into the wild card. And I see them as not really a lock. I can't really say locks to make it out of the wild card, but I think they are definitely the favourites in my book to make it out of the wild card and also go on to do place highly at this major.
Yeah. Okay. I thought you would actually be a bit more harsh on them, so I think we're just gonna agree on this one. I think Liquid is a team who it's a rare thing in Dota where they're a very inconsistent team, but I think that inconsistency is almost to their benefit sometimes
Yeah, yeah.
because it allows them to pick themselves back up, and they kind of have like this bond as a team that you just don't see really from any other team in the scene. They are very good at picking each other up after losses, and I think in a wild card that is very helpful because they're not just going to be like super anxious and playing poorly because of it, because they might not
Mm.
make it. So I think I've called them before the modern day Cloud9, or like speed gaming because
Oh yeah,
they
yeah.
kind of have that X factor to them. So I would either put them at the top of dark horses or the bottom of no one would be surprised.
I think I'd put them in. No one would be surprised.
Okay.
Maybe we're being a bit overly optimistic, but I mean that's just how I feel about this Liquid team. I think they're
They're the
a
fan
fantastic
favorite
team. And
for
I think
sure.
yeah, and I think they're definitely one of those teams that can overperform at at a
Hmm.
big event like this.
Okay, I'm good with that. VG Gaming. Uh,
Mm.
Probably the most consistent team in China since its inception.
Most
But
consistent org, yeah, yeah, I would
yeah,
say.
yeah, org, not players. So it's a surprise to see them in this position. Because and even the players on this team, the talent is really high. There's a lot of big names on this team. Um, so what are your thoughts?
Yeah, another team from China that is sort of really difficult to place. I think
Mm,
China's been sort of the most unpredictable region. Uh, like another region, you sort of had a good idea of who was going to move on. Maybe not SEA, but even in SEA, it's like you knew Fnatic was going to do well. Maybe TNT was a bit of a surprise, but other than that, it sort of went how you expected it to. China was was the only region really where we'd seen mass roster shuffles since since like before COVID, since the
yeah,
last lands, and as such, I find it really difficult to sort of place these teams. But Vici Gaming, performed well um, in the DPC. Not incredibly well. Not sort of oh we need to watch out for this team as a potential major winners. They have some really good talent. Obviously, Ori has been a really good mid laner, considered world class at times. Although I don't think people would give him that tag at the moment.
yeah.
Old
He's
11
he's very
off
hype.
lane. He's
Yeah,
been around for a long time. It's really difficult to know where to place this team.
yeah. I think they have Fenrir coaching. I think, um, who has been one of my favorite players in China since the summit that they won against EG. I believe they won against EG. Um, I think that dude is very good, and I'm excited that he's still in the scene in some capacity. Uh, they underperformed pretty heavily in the region, and even when they started to pick things up, it didn't look as like with LGD. I could really say at the end of that season that they looked like they were back in form. With Vici
Yeah.
Gaming, that at least the games I watched, I didn't watch all of China. They seemed out of form, so I
Yeah,
think this might
they
be
also didn't play a tiebreaker at the end.
yeah,
They sort of had their third spot locked up, so maybe a bit of maybe they might be a little bit. I mean, I'm sure they all these teams do a lot of scrims, but maybe a little bit lacking on competitive experience going into. I mean, that's me sort of reaching there to be honest, but
yeah. You got to do
it's
some
hard to know what
reaching
to say about
when
this
you're
team.
placing. You got to kind of
Yeah,
you got to kind of make some assumptions. Unfortunately,
I
but
think I
that's
would
part of
put
the
them in
fun.
slim chance.
Okay. I
I think
think
that's
it's
probably
either
fair.
that or Dark Horses. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. I don't like it, but it's there. Okay. Quincy Crew.
Okay, I'll let you go on this one. I know you love your NA,
I
so
love
I'll
my
let you
NA boys, but
pick yourself.
so MSS, not gonna be here. MSS probably my favorite player in NA. Besides Eternal Envy, obviously, because
Of course.
it's Envy. Yeah, of course. MSS I think is one of the most underrated players in the world. Uh,
Mm.
Dude is super consistent. Just it's I think his biggest problem is just a lack of other talent around him.
Yeah, he
Um,
always seems to be on these teams where it's like, oh, they lost again, in the first upper bracket match.
yeah,
But he's another player. Like I know we talked about Zai earlier, but super consistent, right?
yeah, yeah, and he can go God mode too. Like he's had some games where
Yeah.
he just goes absolutely nuts. However, he's not here, so we have to talk about the rest of
Mm.
the team. Yawar will. I'm trying to think of some things to say about Yawar that doesn't just sound like flaming him because I do think he's a good player. He will always find farm on the map. The problem
Yeah.
is that by doing that, he also gets himself killed a lot. Um,
Mhm.
he it's weird because there's some matches where Yawar looks like he really understands the limits of his hero. Like he really knows where he should be at any given time and will even like cross the line a little bit to get that extra little bit of performance. And then there's games where it's just like, is this guy played this hero before? Or is this like a new map? Like, is he not played since the update?
Yeah.
Um,
Yeah.
So right now, my initial thoughts is without MSS, a billion boot camps wouldn't suffice. Because
Yeah,
I don't even think they have a stand-in announced yet. They might not even be here.
yeah, that's true. I'll admit I wasn't that impressed by Quincy Crew um, in DPC. Obviously, I think it's fair to say that NA is one of the weaker regions right now.
Mm-hmm.
Um, I
How
think you
dare you?
probably would put SA below it, but you would still put NA in sort of the bottom half of the regions. The fact that the fact that any team didn't really come out of NA looking like the dominant team is already a bit of a worry because it's not that much of a competitive region
Yeah,
as it is. Um, so yeah, I think I would agree in putting them in the billion boot camps wouldn't suffice, especially without MSS.
yeah. Okay. On to EG, the NA Giants. Um, I'll take the reins on this one again.
Okay.
We will probably disagree here. I think EG is a team that underperforms in the region consistently and underperforms the group stages, but they always show up on LAN. Um, and I think that gives them an extra edge despite being in a weak region and not looking super good. And the other thing you got to think of is that they have Ice Ice Ice, and they have oh my god, why am I blanking? Uh, their mid player, he's from SEA as well.
Abed.
Abed, thank you. I don't know why that was so hard for me to think of. uh, yeah, I and those people. I mean, they've been playing on like high ping, so having this
Yeah.
team on LAN seems scary to me. It seems like a really scary roster. I don't know. What are your thoughts?
Well, one thing I will say about EG is I really liked the pickup of Ice Ice Ice.
Mm-hmm.
Um, I think he's just a really good fit in the way that sort of, you had Ramses, who's really a one player, um, playing off lane, doing something that he hasn't done before. Obviously, he wanted to play three, but I don't think it was that good of a fit. I think one of the main things for EG is if they can find the right heroes for Ice Ice Ice, because I saw him a lot in DPC. Sometimes they would give him like a Legion,
Mm-hmm.
you know, some of these weird heroes where they're fine offlane heroes, but they're not Ice 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 heroes. You want to put him on
Yeah,
his Timbersaws, his Tide Hunters. The heroes
the
that
playmakers.
that you can sort of, yeah, exactly, the ones that you can sort of say, just go out and play your game, and it'll make a ton of space and
Yeah,
cause havoc.
Ice Ice Ice
Um,
is a space maker. Yeah.
yeah, because you know that Arteezy is going to play well if he gets farm. Arbed's obviously one of the best technical players in the world, and creates one of the best fours in the world, flies one of the best captains in the world. So I think if you can get, that final cog in the machine working, you can all get it to function like a beautiful machine. I don't know why I'm going with this metaphor. I think EG have the potential to be very good, but I think this, I think so. I think their ceiling is very high, but I also think their floor is very low. I think they're a very high variance team.
Okay. Okay.
And I think a lot of it depends on how Ice 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 performs.
Yeah, I could agree with that. I think another aspect too is how Arteezy performs because he's a very I mean, I hate to say this because he's an adult, but he seems to be a very emotional player. Not in terms of like he's crying or anything like that, but when he performs poorly, it tends to persist. He seems like a player who has a hard time picking himself back up. Um,
Yeah. I
and
mean, obviously, I don't know, but
yeah,
it
I
does
think
seem
it's
like that sometimes.
less of a mindset thing and more of like a technical thing. Um, so I don't know. I want to put them.
I would be okay.
I
I would
you
be
would
comfortable with Dark Horse. I don't want to put them any higher.
okay. Um, it's hard. Cause my NA bones are like, you can't do that.
You got
Not to EG.
you got to put yourself back in the real world.
I know. This is international Dota. Uh, yeah. Okay, I'll do it. I'm not happy about it. I'm dying inside. Everything hurts. Okay. Okay, it's settled there. Okay, so we're moving on to T1, who are, uh, if you've seen the video I made on the wild cards, they are my true dark horse for this tournament, or at least for the wild cards.
You're very high on this team.
I'm,
You
I'm,
wanna go a bit go into a bit about why?
I'm very high on. So I'm less high on their ability to win the whole tournament, and more high on their ability to have a series of surprise upsets. Um, because
Yeah.
as you stated earlier, SEA, the punk rock of Dota, I think the players on this team kind of encapsulate that a little bit.
Hmm.
I think Cuckoo is consistently upset much better teams. And I think picking up.
Cuckoo's not there though.
Oh, yeah, he's not. Oh, my God.
Yeah, he's not going. Forever's standing in for them.
Um, but I think picking up 23 Savage at the last moment is like. I think some people might see that and be like, that's a weird choice because, like, the team is. They played together all season. But 23 Savage is certainly an X factor. Um, and I think he's one of the most mechanically gifted players we've ever seen.
Yeah.
How he will perform at a LAN against literal giants is a little different. I mean, but he has LAN experience though. It's not like it's his first LAN. So
Yeah,
although I
but
put them in dark horses for the wildcard video, I don't think I would put them there here. What are your thoughts?
well, obviously, I felt very sad for Jackie. Getting kicked just before the major is never.
Yeah,
You wouldn't wish that on anyone. But from a purely sort of, to put all the personal stuff aside, I think bringing in 23 Savage was, a fantastic move. Anytime you can bring in, the, based on MMR, and I know it's not the best, beacon of a player's skill, but the best player in the world, um, you're going to jump at the opportunity to do that. So. Yeah, I think I would put them in slim chance.
yeah,
I just think this wild card is so stacked. It's so hard to picture sort of any of the teams getting out of there. Even though there are now three slots, so that's makes it a little bit easier, but still.
yeah. And to kind of like uh, further that a little bit, I do think this is a team that I wouldn't be surprised if they made it out of the wild card, but I would be very surprised if they made it any further than that. Um,
Yes, yes.
yeah. So yeah, that's a slim chance right there. And then we get to Thunder Predator. Um, so I got to cop to the fact I watched very little SA Dota after it became very clear that it was just the Beast Coast show. Um, but I mean, I did watch a little bit, and Predator, I think, did perform. I don't think it's unjustified that they're here. Um, I think if you wanted my full opinion, I think it probably should have been a wild card slot. Um, but I think there's reasons that they didn't do that. I'm curious to know what you think.
Yeah, so obviously, you said in SA it was kind of the Beast Coast show, but yeah, so It's, what you said about it being a wild card slot is true. I think this team would have been better placed in a wild card, but obviously with the regions you got to be fair and equivalent
Yeah,
to all regions. Uh, Beast Coast now dropping out as well leaves the Predator the only SA hope left in the tournament, and I think actually being in the group stage and sort of just chucking them right in at the deep end might be a bit of a detriment to them
hmm
because I think they're a team that would kind of benefit from being in sort of a wild card scenario where you have to play against um, a lot of teams that are essentially fighting for their life, and being a sort of an underdog in that scenario might even be a bit of an advantage. But being in a group stage where everyone's sort of uh, a bit more relaxed, a bit more sort of prepared, I don't see them going anywhere. In fact, I would probably put them in a billion boot camps. Wouldn't suffice.
Yeah, I would agree with that.
Unfortunately, I don't really see any. Mm, I think with the group stage, it's very hard to see them, doing anything of real value in this tournament.
Uh, okay, yeah, I agree. Okay, I'm comfortable with that. So I guess what's left is to kind of rank these tiers a little bit. And let's start from the bottom and work our way up. So a billion
Okay.
boot camps wouldn't suffice. I actually think the way it's set up now is the only
So are
one I
you
would
reading it? Are you reading
switch.
it left to right? Or
Yeah, yeah, left to right, Gambit. I would actually put Thunder Predator ahead of Quincy Crew.
I
Um,
agree. I agree. I think I want to see the last time that Thunder Predator and Quincy Crew met because think Thunder Predator might have beat them in some sort
I
of
believe I believe you
like a
in like a
BTS
yeah
final or something.
yeah. I believe you are correct.
Oh no, it was four Zoomers in the BTS Pro season 4.
Oh yeah, Quincy Crew didn't
They
play in
beat
the
four
last.
Zoomers. No, they
They
didn't.
didn't. Yeah. So
But yeah, I think that's fair because it's just so hard to see anything from Quincy Crew when I mean they don't even have a position at the moment.
mhm.
You wonder sort of where that's going to come from.
Okay, I'm
But yeah, I think I'm happy with that.
okay. So for Slim Chance then, right now it's at Aster, Nigma, Vici, T1, which I think is completely. I would put this completely incorrect as it stands now. Um, I would personally put Vici at the front of this.
Yep.
Um, and without mind control, I almost want to put T1 ahead of Nigma, but I guess T1's also playing with a stand-in. I don't know. It's really hard to
Yeah.
say with the stand-ins. It makes it very very difficult to say.
I think it's probably Vici, Asta, and then Nigma and T1 are probably interchangeable for me.
Yeah, I would agree with that. I'm gonna put Nigma ahead of T1 just for the sake of consistency because I do think if Nigma makes it out of the wild cards, they'll
They
have a
will have a
huge
better shot
buff.
than T1.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. I
Um,
completely agree.
so dark horses. I think there's a lot of room for movement here. Personally, right now, I would probably put LGD at the front of this.
Ooh, I think I really like Fnatic there.
Okay.
Um, I think they're just, they were the best team in SEA. Um, they look really stable. They got quite a lot of experience under them. I would maybe put LGD second, and
Mhm.
then probably leave Neon in front of EG, I think.
Ooh,
Or
that
I
hurts
mean,
me,
you
but
can maybe you can maybe convince me to swap those two around. Do you have a case?
I don't. So here's the thing: I don't have a case necessarily, but I think there are many contexts for which you could swap around uh, LGD through EG. I think
Yeah.
as you've stated, I think where it is right now is probably the most justifiable. But I think if EG gets a decent placement in the bracket, like they get seated fairly well, I think that's going to help them out a lot more than it would help out a team like Neon.
For sure,
Um,
for sure.
but I think that uh, EG's inconsistency is probably going to hurt them in the groups. Um, LGD, I think my China bias shows a little bit. I tend to think that those teams will perform a lot better than they do on LAN. It's kind of been a theme of those teams showing up at TI,
Yeah,
or towards
yeah.
the end of the season. Um, so yeah, I agree with dark horses right now. So I have it as Fnatic, LGD, Neon, EG, and then moving
Okay.
on to no one would be surprised. Uh,
Ooh, okay. I'm gonna take the reins on this one. I
okay,
think I would put Alliance at the top. Then I would probably put IG and then Liquid. I think I would have Liquid higher, but I think the fact that they're coming out of the wild card makes it just a little bit more, not so much sketchy as in just a bit more. Their road to a high placing is a bit more difficult than it is for Astra IG.
yeah. Um, yeah, I'm a little up and down on IG versus Alliance. I could definitely see, because IG again is a team where I think you could have made a case. It's a long shot, but you could have made a case for easy top three. I don't think I could
Yeah.
make that same case for Alliance.
Hmm. I think I would actually have it the other way around there, but agree to disagree.
Okay. For now, I'm gonna do it as IG
Okay.
Alliance interchangeable. I'm gonna say that those are
Yeah.
interchangeable, but with my heart is putting IG first, and then Liquid. Um, so then we get to easy top three, and I think most people would say that Secret is the favorite, but I also think that that would be heavily discounting how well VP has performed. Um,
Mm. It's so hard because they were both dominated their division so well that there's almost no scope to compare the two. Um, from what I've heard, VP scrimmed Secret a lot, and it sounds like, I mean, obviously it's different. No one's just going to say, "Oh yeah, VP crushed Secret and all the scrims," but it sounded like they were competitive. VP did well, but I don't think I'm quite ready to rank VP ahead of Secret. I think I would still put Secret as the outright favorite to win the event, and then VP is a very close second.
Okay, I would actually agree. My reasoning being that Secret's lineup has a crazy amount of experience
Yeah,
on
yeah,
LAN. I think they're a team that's very comfortable on LAN, and I think compared to all these other teams, I don't think the time off of LAN Dota and international Dota is going to affect them nearly as much as it might affect some of these other teams.
yeah.
Um,
I think that's a good point.
Yeah, I think if it would, Puppy would probably just do some stuff backstage to make sure that that doesn't happen or that the players perform better or something like that. Uh, so I'm I'm pretty set with this tier list right now. There's nothing I would really there's nothing I would change around. EG Neon is might be the
Yeah.
only one I might fight for a little bit, but I think it's justifiable. Um,
Yeah. And again, it's these are all sort of uh, I mean, at most it's like a ballpark estimate because we haven't had inter-region Dota for more than a year now,
mhm.
and a lot of these teams are completely different from when we sort of entered this extended period of online play. So I mean, I'm super hyped
Yeah.
for the major. I'm so excited to see LAN Dota again, seeing tournaments that actually online tournaments can be exciting to watch, but nothing beats a LAN.
Yeah, and I've seen some people saying that like this tournament, like its results don't really mean much in terms of like how teams will actually perform in the future. And I actually kind of disagree with that because you're putting them in a very, very difficult position. Um, Obviously, unless like the situation I might agree with that with is if like Secret sweeps this tournament, then you could pretty much just chalk it up to Secret has more experience than all these other teams and they performed as people expected. But if say like
Yeah.
one of these other teams wins the tournament, I think that could say a lot about at least that specific team's performance and prospects moving forward.
Mm. I also think it's I sort of see where a lot of people who say that sort of this tournament really doesn't mean much see where they're coming from because there's a lot of extenuating
Mm.
factors currently present. Obviously, the fact that we're still in the middle of a global pandemic and a lot of teams have either got to play with stand-ins or have had to pull out. I mean, Navi was a team I was really excited to see sort
Yeah.
of um, where they'd fall because they had sort of a really good DPC, but maybe not one that they sort of not as good as they expected. There were a lot of games where even though they had a pretty good record, there were a lot of games in which they didn't perform as well as I think we'd hoped, and it kind of sucks not to be able to see them compete against the world's best.
Mm-hmm. Yep. Uh, I will echo that statement completely. I was actually very excited to see Sineko on the world stage again because it's one of my favorite
Yeah.
players in CIS. Um, so yeah, I think
So
we'll
Nico's on Gambit.
Oh, you know what I'm thinking of? You know why I said that? Because in my video for the wrap up I did, the only picture I could find of Suneko was him in his Navi uniform. I don't know. So my
Oh,
brain just put that together. Yeah, you're completely right. So yeah, I do get to see Suneko. That's my. I've had two brain farts this video. It was that one, and I couldn't remember that Abed existed as a player,
yeah.
which is very dumb because I watched every single game that he played for like the past year and a half.
Every single one.
Probably not every single one, but I probably didn't watch like EG versus I don't know, like
Business
yeah,
associates.
business decision. Oh my god.
For the millionth time during
Yeah.
the online.
Yeah. All right. We'll leave it there then. Thank you so much to BenJ for helping me out and doing some color here. Do
Yeah,
you have
no
anything you
problem.
want to shout
Thank
out
you,
here?
thank you very much for having me. I guess I don't really do any content, so I guess I'll shout out my Twitter, which is it's Benjamin, but it's spelled BNJ0MIN. So if you want to follow a Twitter account that doesn't really tweet much, then go ahead.
Hmm.
But yeah, thank you very much for having me. It was really fun, and I'm very excited for the majors to start.
Yep, for sure. We'll see you next time.